Hey guys, Steve from Unexplored Films here, and today we're going to try and film me walking through a magic portal into another location, just like Marvel's Doctor Strange. Today's video is sponsored by our friends at Production Crate, a fantastic all-in-one assets hub for your filmmaking, so stick around to see how they massively helped us with this video. So this is another really fun superhero style effect, and although various people have tried portal effects before, they usually try it in two different shots, one walking in and one walking out. So just like with our window smash video, we were trying to see if we could pull off this effect in what looks like a single unedited take, by using a handheld camera following the character directly through the portal and into the other physical location. So as usual, we're trying to do a lot with a little and prove that you don't always need a big budget to get some really creative filmmaking effects. And if you're enjoying these DIY Hollywood effects and tutorials, please consider subscribing and you'll get to see lots and lots more. And thanks for all the amazing support so far for this channel. So to begin this effect, we needed two locations, and we used a garden and a nearby field, and we're going to make it look like I walk from one into the other. We used a light stand with some markers on the top to represent where the portal will be, and having something clear like this is really important because it will help the software to track the scene in 3D space. So the first thing we filmed in the garden, our first location, was me walking into place and miming creating the portal with my hands as if I have some magic powers. We then filmed me walking towards the light stand and the camera follows. The camera picks up speed and gets closer to my shoulder just as we're passing the light stand, and we figured somewhere around there we could hopefully do a hidden cut to me in the second location. Once we had a take we thought would work, we took the light stand away and filmed two extra shots. A view of the empty garden with no light stand, and a view with the camera spinning round showing where it had come from. Next we headed to our second location and blocked some action to match the same movement. So the camera would move forward through the field and then I would appear on one side in pretty much the same place as the previous shot. Then I would spin round and try and get back through the portal, but it closes up before I can. It actually started to rain at this point, and we thought this would be quite a funny end to the effect. So that was everything we needed to film, and now it was time to begin editing. So we built this effect in Adobe After Effects, and the first thing we did was to line up our two favourite takes next to each other just to roughly work out the timings of the shot. Now because the portal's going to have to appear behind me, another way we could have done this effect would have been to use a big green screen, but it would have been a bigger object to try and remove, so we decided to try the rotoscope tool. We used the After Effects beta version, which as of October 2020 you still need to use in order to get the rotoscope 2, the best version of the rotoscope tool, and using that we cut me out from the background. What this will do if you select the area you want is it will go through and analyze your footage and try and recognize that area as it moves. You can hit the freeze button and it will freeze everything in place so that it won't keep changing. So next, of course, we needed to add our portal effect. So rather than trying to build the portal ourselves, we headed over to our sponsor Production Crate, where they have some amazing pre-made portal effects. We love Production Crate. You'll have seen their effects used in some of our previous videos, and they are such a useful production resource for us with our DIY Hollywood effects videos. They have a huge library of pre-keyed visual effects assets as well as sound effects and music, and it's all under one affordable subscription. And they also provide lots of free options as well if you just want to create a basic account with them. And if you sign up using our link below this video, they will know we sent you and it helps us out a little bit too. So for our portal effect, we found this in the Magic Powers section of the site, and it was in a separate category called Strange Effects because it's based on the portals from Doctor Strange. And we used this one called Spark Portal, and we combined it with Spark Portal Generation to show the beginning and Spark Portal Dissipation to show the ending. So now we could drop in our Production Crate portal effect over our footage, and of course because of the rotoscoped layer, the character can appear on top. So next we have to attach the portal to the tracking markers that we've got on the light stand so it will move in 3D space as if it's really there. So for this we selected our original take with the light stand visible and went over to our tracker panel and selected track camera. This then analyzes the scene using the 3D tracker camera tool and gives you a series of track points, and as we had hoped, at least 3 of these were stuck to our tracking markers on the light stand. If you hold down shift you can select the ones you want, and then you can right click and select create null and camera. Now we need to create the hole in the shot that's going to be visible through the portal. So for this we created a new solid and placed it above the original shot in the timeline and turned on the 3D layer. Next we can highlight the transform properties of the null object and copy and paste them onto the solid layer. And now when we play this through, the solid layer is sticking to the light stand in exactly the same place. We now use the anchor point controls and the scale to make this slightly larger and cover the whole stand so that it would allow enough room for our portal. Next we use the ellipse tool to create an ellipse mask on the solid. We selected our original shot underneath and changed the track matte setting to alpha inverted matte based on our ellipse layer above. This then cuts a hole in your shot in the shape of your ellipse. So now we could drop our portal layer from Production Crate in on top, and we had a slightly better result changing the blend mode to screen. Now we could turn on the portal layer's 3D settings, scale it up to a better size, and just like the hole, it should stick to the same camera movement. And we could now adjust our hole to match the size of the portal, and also keyframe the size and the feather at the beginning when the portal is created. This way we got a nice soft edge at the beginning where we will see our second location appearing. So now we have our portal being created, but we still need to get rid of the light stand that we used to do the tracking. And this is why when we did the filming, we got that extra shot of the garden without the stand. So we could now bring in this empty shot of the garden, make it 3D, and once again attach it to the track null. We now scaled this up and made it the same size, and just drew a little mask around the area that we needed. So as long as your camera doesn't move at the beginning, nobody will notice. But as soon as it starts moving in 3D space, you might have a bit of a problem with part of the garden stuck on top of the light frame. And of course, we're not going to see this because of the portal. So now we have to add our second location, and we started just by dropping this shot in behind just to see what it would look like. We also needed to find a way of getting from our rotoscoped figure in the garden to our physical figure in the field, just at the point where the figures overlap. So we started by scaling our rotoscoped figure up a little bit to make it match the size, and then tried out a few blending ideas between the two figures. Because the angle of the head didn't match in our two takes, we actually found a moment where I turned my head in the second shot, and cut this out and reversed it in order to link the two shots together. In the end, we obscured this change slightly by adding a new adjustment layer and then the turbulent displace, which you can also see in our ghost walking through a door effect. By keyframing the amount and the evolution, we could make everything go a little bit wobbly as the camera looks like it moves through the portal. We also added the Lumetri color to the adjustment layer with the turbulent displace and warmed everything up so that it would feel a bit like a heat wave. And we disguised things further by adding some real fire elements, which once again were from Production Crate. And this really helped disguise that fairly sketchy change between those two shots. So now we had to try and match the camera movement of the second shot that you can see through the portal with the first shot of the garden as the camera begins its move. But we wanted it to look like it was sticking to the furthest point in the frame, which would be the fence, rather than the motion trackers on the stand. So instead of relying on our 3D camera track, we did a basic 2D camera track using some points on the fence. So we did this with the track motion button to track the motion of the original take, and then created a new null object from that track, which attached itself to our fence movement. This meant that we could now parent our field layer to that null object, and it's now basically attached itself to the fence. Because we hadn't really timed how long the walk took or how far it was in both locations, they were a little bit different, so we simply used a freeze frame of the second location until the first location starts moving, and at that point we started the move. So this just now left the last part of the effect where I see the original location disappear through the portal once I'm standing in the field. So to build this, we repeated the whole process of doing a 3D camera track in the location, and we picked out our favorite tracking points on the floor just next to where my foot stops. Once again, we created a solid, made it an elliptical mask, and added the portal back in on top. Then we went back and found that extra shot that we'd got in the garden where the camera spins round and you see the location that I'm leaving. And this was a pretty good match for the camera movement in the second location. We could then drop this shot in visible through the portal and make it look like it closes up. We once again used the rotoscope tool to remove me from the background. Finally, we went back to Production Crate to look for some more finishing touches, and we found this great magic beam and some smoke effects and things like that to add in at the beginning as I'm creating the portal with my hands. We also used some of Production Crate's amazing real weather elements to increase the joke at the end, where I am now stuck in a place where it's pouring with rain. Finally, this just left some sound design, and it was time to look back at the finished effect.
No.
So that was our method for recreating this effect, and why not drop a comment below about what Hollywood effect you would like to see recreated next. So guys, I hope you enjoyed that. Please give it a like and hit that subscribe button if you enjoyed this. I've been Steve from Unexplored Films, and I'll see you next time.